One of the more interesting announcements at NBAA, one of the big shaker-uppers, if you want to call it that, was Sandel talking about a King Air retrofit with an unheard of price. So we have the great good fortune to be speaking to Steve Fulton, who's not only senior test pilot, but working with Sandel in a number of capacities, which should cover all of our bases. Steve, what is happening with Avalon? This was the one that just got one. You really ticked off a whole bunch of King Air retrofitters, and yet for the King Air community, they're kind of going, "This could be cool."
Yeah. Yeah, so as you mentioned, we launched the system or announced it publicly at the NBAA show in November. The system has been in development for many years. We worked really hard to keep it closely held, and I'd say we were successful at doing that, judging by the surprise of most of, in fact, everybody that heard the story at NBAA. We did catch everybody by surprise, so we were successful in.
Yeah, and I hate that, by the way.
Okay.
Thank you very much for.
Yeah. No scoops prior to that. So the objective was to come to the market with a complete cockpit retro system that would be at a price point that would make retrofits more accessible to a larger population of King Airs. When you look at some of these airplanes, the hull value is below $1 million. Some of the prices we're looking at now previously, are maybe out of range. And so having a system that has full capability is a platform for all of the next gen capabilities going forward at a price point that makes sense. We knew it would be pretty compelling, and we were very pleased with that response of the market at NBAA.
We had a number of conversations which indicated to us that this was more than just a cockpit replacement, that there was some really innovative thinking behind this. And mind you, I've watched Sandel very closely. Some of the work you've done on TAWS has been inspired. The wire strike work in particular, talking to a helo pilot here who's had a few too many oh no moments where you're just, hard pull up and everything else, and try not to overload this and that, and turn around real quick because all of a sudden there's something in your way. And you guys have done some inspiring work on very innovative and, more important, disruptive technologies. What does Avalon bring to the mix that hasn't been there before?
I think primarily one of the biggest concerns that we've had in this marketplace, one of the areas that we thought we could really make an improvement on, was the area of safety. There's a lot of information in cockpits today that in one context looks to be useful, but in the dynamics and the busyness of flight, things perhaps can be lost in the information overload. And NASA did a really interesting study some time back where they looked at accidents that involved advanced automation cockpits and the accident rates before those were introduced. And they effectively are saying that those advancements that we've had in instrumentation haven't appreciably changed the accident statistics. And so we look at today a lot of the cockpits and we see very nice presentations of information. In particular, very large nav displays, very large primary flight displays with big horizon lines, information superimposed on top of that. Of course, in other parts of aviation, going back to the 5767 introduced in the early 1980s by Boeing, we saw navigation displays with moving maps, FMS, guidance, and so forth. So we've seen these in other segments, and they've made their way now into all segments of aviation. So we're quite familiar. They've tremendously improved situational awareness for flight crews. But the one area we feel like is really still underserved and is a problem in our modern cockpits is the awareness and control of the vertical flight guidance.
Okay.
And so the one innovation we feel like, and we think that it's going to be a very significant improvement in safety, is being able to be more aware of the vertical situation and control the flight guidance of the airplane in vertical. But presenting information to the flight crews so they know in all phases of flight, what's the airplane doing right now and what is it about to do? no pilot in any cockpit should ever be surprised if something is happening. They should know in advance before something happens. And so those are the types of thoughts we've had as we've come to design this retrofit. And
Avalon is an exciting idea, but at the same time, how is the industry perceiving it at this point? What kind of reception are you getting?
I think the history of this industry, and it's well deserved, there's been many instances where there have been big announcements, forecast of fantastic success at low cost that have disappointed. And so the industry, this is the well-deserved part, the industry is, I think, a little maybe reserved at the moment. Certainly there is, as you said at the very introduction of your comments, there's people who would like to retrofit cockpits who they see this as a great innovation, a great opportunity. But everybody, I think, right now is saying, okay, we're going to watch this. And the burden is on us, quite frankly, to deliver on what we're saying we're going to do. And I think that's just the history of this industry and the types of things that have happened in the past. So we're quietly going about our business, and we fully intend to be successful, but the industry response is understandably a little reserved at the moment.
You're good at out-of-the-box thinking. I've gotten to know a number of your people over the years. It's been particularly fun to watch certain product development cycles and more important, how they've reacted to some very interesting missions and so forth. We had a phenomenal discussion with a fellow from Horace from APG 2 years ago at MBAA and some of the work you were doing overseas in particular. So I would hope that Sandel brings something new to the mix and it's respected on that basis. If you had to quantify or qualify what it is that's different about Sandel's approach to this particular problem, what would that be? I know I'm putting you on the spot here, so
no, I think it's a small company. The owner, Jerry Block, you've spent time with Jerry. Jerry is a very bright, very talented individual who is quite capable as an engineer. And in that capacity, he's working at several levels, at the detail engineering level, at the executive oversight of the company level, and everything in between. And so with a small company, you can, if you really know what you're doing, you can shepherd forces and direct progress in a way that's much more effective, I think, than you can do with larger organizations. Sandel has brought everything in-house. So the design, the engineering, the manufacture, the certification, flight test, all of that is under the one roof. And so it gives you a lot of control over the quality, over the outcome, managing to the objectives that you had from the beginning. So it's, I think it's important that people not miss that there are benefits to being a small company.
Well, it's like having more control of your destiny.
Yeah, we look to big companies and certainly, pointed in the right direction, big companies can do a lot. And
but sometimes it's like turning the Titanic.
I've worked for big companies, maybe you have too as well, and there's a lot of that, certainly. But in this stage of what we're doing, there are significant advantages to being the size we are.
There you go. Interesting. What does the timeline look like at the moment for the Avalon program?
Well, what we've said is we're going to certify this year. We're being very careful to not set the wrong expectations. I think it would be misleading to forecast a date and then have people expect we can meet it. There's a lot going on, obviously.
Especially since you still have to deal with the almighty FAA.
Well, but to that point, the FAA has been fantastic. The FAA has given us a lot of resources. We've worked with them through a lot of the issues that are involved in this certification. And it's a shared responsibility. The FAA has assigned the resources. We feel like an appropriate level of resources. But at the same time, we have responsibilities to do the compliance testing, to deliver the data, to meet the demonstration of compliance that's necessary. So, yeah, it's a shared responsibility. And there's a lot going on, a lot of opportunity for things to be different than you expect. But there's no reason at this moment for us not to be anything but confident that we're on track for the certifications we planned for this year, later this year. And it's ours to be successful with.
Well, it's obvious that there's more to life than King Air. Where might we see this this project go from Beech's most venerable twin turboprop?
That's a question maybe that's doesn't have an answer at the moment.
Okay.
Our focus is King Airs.
Okay.
And specifically the King Air 200. That's our flight test airplane. That's the first STC. Obviously, once you have the 200 STC, we can move beyond that. We haven't made any commitments about what the next King Air airframe would be. We're looking to our dealer network, our customers, to help advise us what makes the most sense. But regardless of all that, the priority right now for us is getting that first STC. We're laser focused on that.
Well, we look forward to it, and more important, I'm looking forward to flying it. So
I think you'll be very impressed, Jim. There's a lot going on here that you'll be very pleased as a King Air pilot and as a person who understands technology. It'll be
well, you guys have done such great work in the past. I'm putting you on a high pedestal on this one, and I don't do that easily, so we're looking forward to it.
Thank you, Jim. Hope we don't disappoint. Take care.
I doubt that. Thank you so much.
Aero-News Network's coverage of the 59th Annual AEA International Convention and Trade Show, live from Orlando, Florida, is brought to you in part by the following sponsors.
A new high-powered version of our popular USB charging ports. The TrueBlue Power TA202 series high-power USB charging port simultaneously provides 3 amps of power per port, offering an extensive list of single and dual USB Type-C and Type-A configurations. The TSO-certified TA202 powers current and next-generation personal electronic devices, including phones, iPads, and laptops. Available from your local avionics dealer.
The KSN 770 is an affordable, WAS-enabled integrated MFD with a flexible hybrid user interface from Bendix King. Get your fingers on the 770's perfect blend of touchscreen and hard buttons. Easily control your GPS navigation, Navcom, weather, traffic, and terrain in any condition. For more information, go to bendixking.com.